Wednesday, February 3rd. We're in a new month and we're starting off low visibility across much of Central Florida this morning. But welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett. I'm your host, Bridgett Ellison. We're going to have some weather, some traffic, some of your top headlines, and we have a live interview this morning about the 90th Bach Festival that is kicking off this weekend with lots of great music and history. So we'll get to that in just a few moments. But first, the Pinpoint Weather Center, where we can see clearly with Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos. Can't see clearly much else anywhere else right
I,
now.
listen, it is
It's foggy
crazy
behind
how
me.
fog. Say it again.
It's foggy behind me, just right here on the back of the station. You know, it's like
Yeah, you
it's
can
in
barely
and
see the
out
lake.
too.
Yeah, and I mean we saw that a lot with like Mark Lehman, who was live outside, and he had a sign on the behind him, and we'd see the sign on one hit, and then we wouldn't see it again. It's just the fog is just really dense. We don't have a lot of wind to kind of mix out some of this fog, so it is going to take a little bit of time to actually get this fog kind of lifted
Okay.
and mixed out. So areas even along our coastline, we might actually be able to keep that fog in place a little longer past that advisory that
Wow.
is in effect until at least 10 a.m. So let's take
Wow.
into the maps. In case you unplugged this weekend and you were wondering, what did Phil see when he came out of his little groundhog hole? 6 more weeks of winter. He did see his shadow. But what's interesting enough is that here in Central Florida, I don't think he's forecasting for the Deep South, because we are certainly going to be seeing a lot more spring in the forecast. So you can see the little flowers in the background here. Widespread fog is in the forecast for another few hours. Today, technically, will be our coolest day of the work week, as temperatures will continue to soar back into the mid 80s by the middle part of the work week, with that 80-degree stretch still in place beyond 7 days, by the way. So here's our dense fog advisory. You can see that remains in effect at least until 10 a.m. The main reason for it is the visibility, less than about a quarter of a mile. This is, I think, the first time in the morning that we have basically goose eggs, zeros across the board here, with the exception of Volusia, Flagler County. But from Ocala, the Villages, Leesburg, I-4 and 95, visibility is extremely limited. Thankfully, though, this is not going to last all day. As the sun continues to rise, we should get a little more of that mixing going on in our atmosphere, and that will help move some of that fog and move it out. Once we do finally get the sunshine, temperatures are going to be rebounding back above average, nearing 80 degrees throughout the day. Notice the cloud cover, even as late as about noon, we could still have what will kind of seem overcast, but basically what it is that fog just gradually lifting into the afternoon, which and then will finally kind of burn off. Then later on tonight, after we warm up into the 80s, overnight lows tonight will still stay mild. We still have plenty of moisture available, which is why fog could be back into the forecast for tomorrow as well. But like I said, Puxatawny Phil, the groundhog, not super accurate on our side of the country. As you can see, the Climate Prediction Center is showing that it looks like we could kind of get stuck under this big old ridge, this hot dome of high pressure for the next 2 weeks or so. So notice this takes us as far out as February 13th. Looks like we could actually be trending warm even as we head into Valentine's Day, which is, again, midway through February. So after a very cold start to the year, it looks like our second month, we're right back to looking and feeling a whole lot like Florida. As we take you here throughout the next couple of days, again, today could be the coolest day of the week with highs nearing 80, and we'll get up to about almost 84 degrees come Thursday, with overnight lows also staying a bit on the warmer side. So it's a lot more of the same. No need for the rain gear, no need for the sweaters, at least until, well, further notice.
You know, I looked at the allergen outlook because I like to check the pollen levels, and it's not
Yes.
it's not too great this week. It's pretty high.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like right now, all the plants and trees and everything is like they're ready to start, blooming and pollinating and all that stuff. So it doesn't take much. The moment the weather changes, we get that sunshine, we get temperatures back in the 80s, and it's game
And
time
yellow
for out
snow.
and no snow. Nope.
Yeah, yellow
So,
yellow snow like the pollen. I'm just joking. It's yellow
oh,
dust. It's yellow dust.
I I mean, there.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's true. It is raining pollen, that's for sure.
it is. It is. But thank you, Candace. Looks good this week.
Welcome. Bye. Bye.
Get this fog out of here. All right. Well, let's check in with traffic safety expert Trooper Steve. And you've had your work cut out for you too since you woke up this morning with this fog.
Yeah, the fog's been kind of coated everywhere. We're just talking about the routine safety stuff, reminding folks, listen, take your head, put it where it's supposed to be, focus, and let's not crash. We've already had a nasty, no high beams. And people are always like, hey, why? And I always just say, because it creates a wall. But Candace this morning really explained, like, obviously it's kind of like crystals in the air so that those lights will reflect right back. It's like creating a wall right out in front of you. You got to be super, super careful when you're out there this morning. But this weekend was crazy packed, awesome weekend. I had the Carrie Ann DeMont Foundation Friday night. I had the Flagler County Sheriff's Office Sheriff's Gala Saturday night, and then the 5K run yesterday morning, which was awesome. This right here, two groups of viewers that came walking up to me and go, Steve, we are so glad you mentioned this because we would have never known about it. And they specifically went out. And if it's 1, 4, or 100 people that I get to talk to that hear me and come out to an event, it's all worth it. So these guys came out to support the Florida Highway Patrol Auxiliary 501(c) support group that supports the full-time men and women of the Florida Highway Patrol. And Sheriff's Office was out there. We had OPD. We even had a few guys down from South Florida come on up for the 5K. Over 150 people participated in this, and it was a great time at Icon Park, and next year it's just only going to be bigger. So awesome stuff there, and appreciate everybody coming out. The weather was great. I tell you, it was beautiful. So now to a little bit more serious business. We do have a current crash that I am watching this morning that you really, really need to be careful of. This is going to be eastbound I-4 at State Road 44. They are in the process of reopening things, but crews are still out there because a vehicle has slammed into the concrete overpass out there, and we did have a fatality listed on this. They did a wash down, everything's cleaned up, but eastbound I-4 118, if you exit there, you're good to go, but you can only exit in the eastbound direction. There is no reason. Some other stations this morning were reporting, hey, exit at Orange Camp or bypass. You don't need to do that. You just need to exit at 44 East, pull a U-turn, and it will put you right back on your route. Also, a friendly reminder, I know I was a little hot and heavy about this morning, but there is to never be any parking on a shoulder just so you can get visibility of a crash. One, it's dangerous, and two, it's illegal. I know it's pretty famous as the PIO here in Central Florida for making sure our media partners were always held to that, and I know we do a good job at that. Here, eastbound I-4 out by the attractions. Look at the DOT cameras. It is so foggy out there right now, probably contributing a lot to the traffic. So eastbound Champions Gate, the good thing is no crash yet. Same thing out by the 63-mile marker, brings you closer to US 192, but it is dense. There is a perfect recipe for that type of crash. Drive time through the roof. Champions Gate to State Road 408, 38 minutes this morning. We're looking at normal 32-minute drive time at this hour, but it is high. And to even prove that that fog is kind of everywhere this morning, look at that. That's 528 out by George King Boulevard, which is basically Cape Canaveral. That looks eerie as you're cruising out there. No crashes out in Brevard County. Things are running fairly smooth, but we have the perfect conditions, Bridgett, this morning for some pretty nasty crashes. That's why I got a message. Man, you guys are saying fog a lot. Right, because if we don't say it a lot, you're going to get out there and say, I didn't know it was foggy. So we just want people to be so aware this morning. And I was asking Candace when I issued the traffic alert for tonight, can we expect the same thing overnight? Yeah. And yes, we can expect the same thing overnight.
All right. So it's all about giving yourself extra time and distance.
Absolutely. Taking it easy, leaving on time, putting the phone down, maybe even lower the music a little bit so you're just situationally aware and kind of calm when you're driving. And hopefully we'll have a smooth morning. Smooth is probably not the word for the area I will be visiting. I'm going to head over to I-4 Sand Lake this morning, kind of head east and westbound over in that I say new, it's been there for over a year already, the diverging diamond that's out there. Just going to go and travel it. I'm not unsure why the construction portion of it is still very active in there. And I was out there a lot this weekend. So I got to experience it. Bridgett, I know you experience it quite often. So I'm going to go out there. We're going to go east and west a few times, talk about it, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of clowns while we're driving out there.
I will say this. When there are cones up and everything is like shut down for construction, and you can get through there more quickly during that period of time than when the lights are running, it seems like something's a little bit off to me. But
Okay.
That's not my wheelhouse. So you roll up out
I'll check
there
it
and
out.
just
I'll
see.
check it out. We'll see how
I don't
this
know.
goes.
I don't know.
Especially in the big truck. I'm sure it's going to be interesting for me.
All right.
I'd prefer. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
See ya.
Thanks, Steve. All right. Well, we're going to get to some of the headlines this morning, and then we have a live interview about the Bach Festival that starts this weekend. But first, unfortunately, starting with a news of a shooting from overnight. This was some breaking news that we're covering in Orange County, and this happened outside of a home off of Beggs Road on Grove Oak Drive. And so just after 1 a.m., we know at least one bullet hit a car and shattered a window. And we are waiting to get some more information from Orange County about what happened there, if there's a suspect, or we did confirm we've reached out, but we just, to see if anyone was hurt or anything about a suspect. So we are waiting to get that response and some more information there. Also this morning, this is a report from Amy Kiley. Right now we are counting down to what could be the start of a big trade war. You've probably been following this between the U.S. and three of our largest trade partners. This is because of new tariffs announced by President Trump that will go into effect at midnight. Now, the president says the tariffs against Mexico, Canada, and China are needed because the countries haven't done enough to stop drugs and illegal immigrants from coming into the country. Here's Amy Kiley explaining more.
We don't want to have this fight, but we are not going to lose it.
America's top trade partners say they're planning retaliatory tariffs while trying to stop the ones President Trump is set to impose just after midnight. He plans to force U.S.-based companies to pay 25% extra on imports from Canada and Mexico. The number is 10% for Canadian energy products and Chinese goods.
Any good we're bringing in from Canada or Mexico, again, whether it's a business or consumer, is going to be the one ultimately paying that 25% additional fee.
Some economists say U.S. households would spend about $2,600 more annually under the plan.
There's no question in the economic literature about who ultimately pays the price for tariffs. It's the consumers in the country imposing the tariffs.
Trump acknowledges potential pain, but says it will be worth it for the end result. He says he wants to reduce trade deficits and secure U.S. borders.
Millions of people flowed into our country through Mexico and Canada, and we're not going to allow that.
Trump says talks with neighboring countries continue. China says it's turning to the World Trade Organization for help. All three nations say if Trump doesn't back down, they'll impose tariffs on U.S. exports.
Americans are going to be astonished by the Canadian response.
Amy Kiley, Getting Results News 6.
Now we want to tell you about a story out of Lake County where this is a rural area and folks there are very concerned about a pattern of several deadly crashes and problems with traffic there. This is along State Road 44 between Eustis and DeLand. And so it's not only noisy, but there's just been a lot of speeding, a lot of crashes. So News 6 anchor Ginger Gadsden went out there to find out more about how neighbors are banding together to try to get results.
It's become scary.
Kimberly Musette has lived here for 34 years. She has had some close calls on this road, but her best friend Gladys wasn't as lucky.
And a tractor trailer was eastbound. She was headed westbound. He wasn't paying attention, didn't hit his brakes. It hit her car, spun her around into the oncoming traffic. She was killed instantly.
And she's not alone in her grief. All along this two-lane stretch of State Road 44, crosses and memorials mark the spot where lives were lost. Families who live out here say they are haunted by what they see and hear on a regular basis.
When I'm in my kitchen, I'll hear a wreck, and I'm like, oh, please, God, don't tell me that's another accident. A 80-year-old man on his motorcycle pulled in the Cassia, or a truck was pulling into the Cassia Community Church, and he ran right into him, and his shoe was in my front yard.
According to Lake County, between 2023 and 2024, There have been 91 crashes on State Road 44, some of them deadly. Now, they are demanding real change.
And this is just a few pages.
Kimberly has started gathering signatures and calling on lawmakers in hopes of getting results for the best friend she lost.
And they're talking about putting in a turning lane or whatever. But that's not going to happen until 2027. How many people are going to die?
44 is a state road, which means it is up to the Florida Department of Transportation to make the improvements. We reached out to the agency about the concerns. In a lengthy statement, FDOT says there are plans to make some safety upgrades to the road, including new turn lanes, traffic signals, and lighting. It says its team is evaluating the road to look for possible improvements. I've posted a full list of the upgrades at clickorlando.com. In the studio, Ginger Gadsden, News 6, getting results.
We'll be following that. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with a live interview about the upcoming 90th Bach Festival. Welcome back. We'd like to tell you about something you'll probably want to mark your calendars for over the next couple of weeks, because from February 13th through March 2nd, we'll be celebrating the Bach Festival Society of Winter Park's 90th festival. This is the third oldest continuously operating Bach festival in the United States and Central Florida's longest running performing arts organization. So this morning, we want to find out more. That's why we have John V. Sinclair joining us, Artistic Director of the Bach Festival Society of Winter Park. Good morning, Mr. Sinclair.
Good morning. Nice to be with you.
Yes, and I'm so excited to talk to you about this. You've been working with the festival over 30 years now.
Yes, 35.
Wow. Congratulations on that. So it's one of those things where obviously you have a long history there and hoping for, 90 more years, but it's something different every year.
Absolutely. We actually have some pre-festival events. We start this coming Friday with a world-class organist, a Grammy Award-winning organist, a free concert on Friday at Knowles Memorial Chapel. And then we do a program, Spiritual Spaces, where we have a program where music washes around you and through you. And it's a program of all music, everything from Bach to the Beatles. It's a lot of fun. And then we do a program called Big Band Spirituals, a new one for us, where we've taken traditional spirituals and written them for big band, commissioned those. And then we jump right into our festival. And our festival, as you're right, starts, the first big event is the 15th, and that's a Handel oratorio, his first oratorio, The Resurrection. And then on to the King Singers, the fabulous King Singers from England, and Deshaun Burton, multi-Grammy award-winning artist, doing his program is called Brick by Brick, Changing America by Song. And then the Bach Festival's biggest piece is the B minor Mass, and then on to an evening of Beethoven and Mendelssohn, a musical travelogue, and then we end with a Brahms and Tchaikovsky night. So a lot of programs to see.
And so by you being the third oldest Bach festival, how many are there out there? And so how do you go about curating these different events and offerings every year?
Well, there are quite a few Bach festivals around the country, actually, and we would probably be the fourth. But during World War II, Los Angeles stopped theirs, and we continue. Um, we go every year, and we try to do a program that we think is varied and will meet the needs of the community. I would say our seats are reserved, but we're not. So we do everything from the classics and the traditional music to very kind of edgy music too.
And so, what's the best way to sort of get an idea of which events you want to take in, get tickets and passes and whatnot?
Well, go to our website, bachfestivalflorida.org, and they describe all the programs there. Or you could even just call 407-646-2182. But go to the website. It'll explain everything you'll need to know, and you can purchase your tickets there. There are some free events during the festival as well.
And so, how did it come about 35 years ago that this position of artistic director, came into your life and your world? Because there've only been a few directors. It started at Rollins College, right?
It did. It's been at Rollins since its beginning. As a matter of fact, it was started to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the birth of J.S. Bach. And I came here when the job was advertised and applied, and Rollins College was looking for a professor and who would also take over the Bach Festival eventually. So I came as a package deal.
And we'll see you performing in the festival as well, right?
Oh yeah, many of them. I think I gave you 10 or 12 events, and I think I conduct 8 of them. So,
8
yes.
of them. Wow. So that is very, very busy. And what is the price range on the tickets for some of
Well,
those?
they go from all different ranges, depending whether there's student tickets, but there's general admission tickets, and then there's also very reserved seats too. So I wouldn't want to give you the exact amount because they move them around, but they're very affordable. You can find one in your price range.
And like you said, it's such a wide variety of music, from the classics to even new compositions.
Absolutely. And if you like jazz, we have a full jazz program. If you like recitals, they're there. And one has to talk about really who the Bach Festival is an oratorio choir. The choir is 100, actually we have 200 members, but we'll sing with about 180 members with our full orchestra. It's certainly a regional group too. The choir comes from 9 counties.
Wow. This is really exciting. So again, what's the website again, Mr. Sinclair?
bachfestivalflorida.org.
All right, wonderful. Well, we can't wait to check out some of these and hopefully get to as many as possible. But thank you so much for joining us this morning to tell us a little bit about the festival.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. So again, that is a really exciting offering there right here in our backyard, and so much history too. The 90th festival there for the Bach Festival. We want to tell you about a scheme. It is tax season, and unfortunately, who does your taxes could really make a big difference in, possibly more problems for you. So you want to look out for ghost preparers. So here's News 6 investigator Lewis Bolden to tell us more about that.
A ghost preparer is someone who prepares a tax return for you but isn't willing to sign it or include information to identify themselves. The former IRS commissioner sat down with News 6 and says it could end up costing you. How prevalent is this during tax season?
It's very prevalent during tax season.
Former IRS Commissioner Danny Werfel says taxpayer beware. You can tell it's tax time by all the signs, even on street corners. But be wary of anyone promising you a large return on the front end.
Any guarantee of a certain credit amount or a certain amount of money is a sure sign that this may be an illegitimate preparation service.
Anyone being paid to prepare or assist in preparing your tax return is required by law to have a preparer tax identification number, or PTIN. It should go on the second page of the 1040 in the paid preparer section. Ask for it beforehand, and you can verify it at irs.gov. Werfel says that promise of a large refund could be built on the preparer claiming fake or inflated business losses and itemized deductions. Keep in mind the average return in 2024 was $3,138.
They will change the bank routing number on your return and have that refund directed to them rather than you. So the issue with ghost preparers is to avoid them.
You could also get free help from IRS certified volunteers. If you make $67,000 a year or less, if you have a disability, need language support, or you're over 60. We'll put a link with more information with this story on clickorlando.com. Remember, don't fall for the scheme, don't get ripped off, but if you do, email me at lbolden@wkmg.com. Getting results, I'm Lewis Bolden, News 6.
Good information to look out for there. We now have an emotional story for you out of Brevard County. News 6 was there on Friday for a really special moment as the family of a 92-year-old veteran got the chance to reunite with his long-lost son after 70 years apart, and they were finally able to meet thanks to DNA and Ancestry.com. And so News 6 photojournalist DJ McCatherine was there and explains because of that, the Merritt Island man was able to celebrate his first birthday with his son. Take a look.
A moment, 7 decades in the making. A father, Joseph LaPointe, gets to celebrate his first birthday with his son, Jack Niederwipper.
I still, it's hard for me to believe that he's here with me, my son.
News 6 was there Friday when the two reunited after 70 years.
I thought I'd never see this kid.
His daughter, translating.
Great. We had an absolutely great time. We are welcomed so warmly.
The celebration was filled with games, dancing, and opening gifts, including this special piece, a gold necklace.
Well, it's a gold chain that my wife gave me. I said that when I see him, I was going to give him the chain, put a chain around his neck. So he'll always have a remembrance of me after I'm gone.
They say the greatest gift of all, finding the missing piece to make their family whole.
They found me. And I'm happy that they found me. But I'm going to do my best to get in as much fun and be together this week. This is very emotional for me, you know.
In Merritt Island. Happy birthday! DJ McCatherine, Getting Results, News 6.
Think about if you or loved ones are maybe looking for a long-lost relative. Sometimes that connection can be made through the DNA test. It's something that I personally experienced. So check that out if you are in search of someone out there, and, you know, encourage others to do so as well if that's something that they're going through. But a beautiful reunion to see right there, and for them to share it with us. We appreciate it. So we'll be back at noon with more news and weather. We hope you have a great day. Be safe out there in the fog.